My group, the activity that I chose is group work. I chose that because that's something I currently do in a few of my classes, one of them being my Introduction to Statistics lab, which they do a group service learning project. So with group work, I think it's really important to scaffold as much as possible and give some guidance. So my strategy for implementing this is typically I introduce what the service learning project options are. So I've already coordinated. I have the past 5 years I've been working with EasySend. I then give them agency to choose which project they'd like to work on. The group size is really dependent on how intensive the project is and how many students might be needed. I do really explain the role of setting up groups in Canvas. And so I show them how to go through and find the group function and then use the announcements in some discussion boards and have them post different files and information within Canvas. And that's the way I communicate with the groups, but the groups also have the autonomy and voice to choose how they want to communicate with each other. To help scaffold them, once I've divvied up who's in what group, I then have each group fill out contracts. And so this is a contract from this semester for one of my groups. I do have a general template. And so then they fill out this information. While I do have specific days where the groups will work in class on their projects, I also want to build in as much time management and things as possible. So one of the things they do is figure out who's available when, setting up group expectations, and then setting up the timeline for the major tasks. So each project has its own moving pieces, though we have some set deadlines for different parts. And it really is fluid depending on what the project is. Everybody has a final date for their presentation. I do want them to go through, I've given some general guidelines for different things, but I'm wanting them to use their voice and their perspective in going through. So one of the things we do discuss, even though it's not super inclusive, but is disciplinary actions to making sure that they're getting through. And one of the big things is also thinking about communication. Then I go through and have them figure out different roles. And so I do have some guide documents that provide different ideas for roles. And then they go through and kind of divvy up who's going to do what depending on the project. So these tasks I kind of think of ahead of time as some of the major tasks, but then the group can go in and edit the document. The document also has placeholders as they add in different pieces of the project they add to this document. They also all will do a reflection paper. So one of the reasons I choose group work is so they see that it's not so scary, that I've really set them up to kind of play their roles and identify some strengths in places that they can help out with the project and work together in their learning of the different things. So it's a very applied project. They take what they learn in stats and they're doing stats projects for non-for-profit agencies for our service learning project. This is a psych class. And so one of the things that I also really emphasize with this group is I have them think about, okay, this is from the American Psychological Association for 21st century skills. And so I have them think about, okay, what are some things from here that you can gain from this experience with group work? And what are some things that you think are going to be strengthened in your skill sets from doing group work projects? And so that's helpful. And they respond to that in their reflection paper. Some other things that I had wanted to note So again, group work is inclusive because it is critical. There's a lot of critical thinking going on there. It is practical. They are helping agencies, helping communities. They're seeing how their statistics is coming to life in the real world. And then it's giving them some voice and agency in which roles they want to do, what tasks they want to take a lead on, their involvement, helping other peers learning and working through the situations. I do go through and share past projects as I introduce the service learning. We spend a day learning about service learning, and then I show them the different projects and give examples for them. They get to decide how they want to set up the presentation. I do have some general templates, but I do give them feedback, and they do present the last day of class to the prospective agencies or the different areas. AZSN, we're working with a couple different areas of AZSN. Some other ways that group work is inclusive through Universal Design for Learning. I try to think about those three pieces of engagement, representation, and action and expression. And so engagement is very collaborative for them, working together with their peers, discussing things, socially learning, making those connections and applying what we've learned in the lab to the tasks that they have for their data analysis projects. They do have choices in the project they pick, their roles in their project. And so I do feel like this is ways to build inclusivity and giving them some flexibility. For representation, there's multiple roles, there's different lenses they can think about. Although you might be a lead, I also expect that there is a peer review process. And I do emphasize this is a group project, this is a group product. So once one person has taken the lead or a few people have taken the lead, then people need to provide feedback. And so I give some structure for that. And then again, choice in how they want to communicate with each other and choice in how they want to present it with their presentation to the organization. And then there's other ways of peer teaching as they're going through and learning these different skills, working through the tasks. And then again, for action and expression, I thought they're going to demonstrate how they know in an applied way than just what we typically do in our labs. And then again, they get to choose the presentation style. And I do give them examples and guidance on that. And they will go through that peer feedback. And then definitely a big part of service learning is a reflection piece. The other thing I do have them do is there is kind of a self and group evaluation that I created a Google survey form for them to do. So that's my spiel with group work, and I'm looking forward to seeing what other people have and ideas, and I'll share some of these. Thanks.